All right, welcome back to the game manual review for Slapshot. I'm Adam Gray here with Jake. Thanks for joining me, and we're about to get started here again with Section 2, the robot. Last video, we just finished up talking about the scoring and the game and definitions and all of the beginnings of the document, but to save you a little bit of time, we decided to split it up a little bit. So here we are back with part 2, and we'll move on to the robot. Inspection hasn't really changed. They still have the same subsystem rules as before. So, say you want to do something in autonomous and maybe you aren't utilizing the contact rule, then maybe you could have an inspection where you have your contact zone arm and one where you don't. Just make sure you're inspected in each configuration that you're in. And again, you'll be inspected at the 11 by 19 by 15 size. Some of these are repeats of things we've already said before. Skill level, got to pass inspection, got to have a license plate. You can 3D print your own license plates, make custom license plates, just as long as they follow these dimensions. That said, you can have non-functional decorations on your robot other than license plates too. I don't know how many people know this, but you can put other, how there were the thin plastic sheets that are available like were used in pitching in. You can make thin plastic sheets and print things on them and use the thin pin connectors to decorate your robot, just as long as they're non-functional. That's part of inspection as well. Not many people seem to do any decoration like that, but we've started to get into more of the aesthetics of the robot, just to kind of make it more fun. So I like to bring it up. Hey, look, it's a highlighted yellow area.
Was that a new starting position?
Starting configuration. Doesn't look
It
like a
just
position.
yeah.
Yep. So this is just to show you what the expected size is for inspection.
Yep.
This is your 11 by 19 by 15.
The inside of the black lines there for the width and the outside of the black line there for the length.
Yep.
So
Same. And it's the same as the last couple of years. So I already said that. You can use VEX IQ parts. You can use Hexbug parts as long as they're not electronics. There is a legal parts list. There is also an illegal parts list. So if you have a question about a part, look it up on there. They're generally kept up to date, but if they release new products, sometimes they're a little bit slow to update the parts lists. They have a lot of parts to go through, so that is totally understandable. They have added a third rubber band size, the 117B.
Nice. Of course, after pitching in, but
I think they may have actually added this in the last game manual update for pitching in. I may be wrong, but I seem to remember there being something about that. Okay. And the 1/8" metal shafts are the same as the V5 ones. If you're handy with the Dremel, you can just get the 12" ones and just cut them down to whatever size you need. That's a little more cost effective sometimes. Got to have a brain. 6 motors, 1 battery. Keep your firmware up to date. The only thing you can cut are the metal shafts, not the plastic ones, the metal ones.
Yep.
So there were times when I wished we could cut the plastic ones. That would have been easier for some mechanisms. Don't damage stuff. Yeah. This one's an interesting one. Robots must be designed to permit easy removal of discs from the robot without requiring that the robot have power or remote control after the match is over. Okay. So my question on this is that an inspection thing? If that's not possible, is that an inspection failure? Or I understand it being a rule, but I don't understand what the resolution path for that is.
Right.
So that's an interesting question. R15 or what?
Yeah.
I assume it's an inspection thing. So if if the inspection notices that, like, I don't see how we'd get discs out of here, but like I don't, it's not very objective,
Right.
I guess.
Exactly. Okay. Tournament definitions, all the same.
Yeah, head referee has final authority. There. So I need to see if I can find where this is. Um, there is something in here written where if you're going to dispute a ruling or a score, it's the kids that have to do it,
Yeah.
and they must stay. If they want the ruling to potentially change the score, they must stay in the driver's stations.
Yeah.
Once they leave the driver's stations, they are accepting that the score is final. We've had before where referees or head referees have attempted to move the discussion somewhere else so that matches could continue. And good job on those kids. They're like, no, we need to stay here. But just know that if you want to dispute the score and you need the score to change, you need to stay in the driver stations. There is an allowance for a separate place to move if the discussion is not necessarily score affecting.
They call it a question box.
Yes. Um, Visible still. It's not like the referees are going to go inside of a dark room with your kids or anything. So it's all good. But just make sure that your kids know that they're the ones that have to dispute the rules. So they have to know the rules. So you have to teach them the rules. And they have to be confident in what they're asserting as well. And they have to stay in the driver's station.
Yeah. So if you go down to T3, in
Yep.
the blue section there, it says some events may choose to utilize a question box or other designated location for discussions, right? You go down to the next paragraph. It says, however, by using this alternate location, drivers acknowledge that they are forfeiting the opportunity to use that information involving the specific state of the field at the end of the match. For example, it's impossible to appeal whether a game was scored or not. The field has already been reset.
Okay.
If this information is pertinent to the appeal, drivers should still remain in the driver's station and relocate to the question box once the head referee has been made aware of that concern.
Okay, so I misspoke then. So the score could potentially still be changed later. But if you leave, you then lose the opportunity to share the contextual information of, like, no, look, that disc is there.
Yes. Now
So,
we can.
and that makes perfect sense. So ignore what I said earlier. But still, just stay in the driver's station.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's resolved pretty quickly after that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Teamwork matches, like, that's normal. Timeouts, there are no timeouts. Can't call a timeout, which is in some ways it's a bummer because, I mean, almost all of us have had matches where either our robot or our alliance partner's robot, the program was the wrong program, or it wasn't started, or a controller battery died, or it disconnected, and like they just have to sit there the whole match, and it's a bummer, but it them's the breaks.
They give timeout options at the elementary level, especially.
Yeah. So ending a match early, I don't see this happening ever in this game.
No.
I mean, not to say that it's impossible, but it's about as possible as a max score.
Yeah.
Unless your entire field, all they can do is empty. If your entire field can do the same thing and they're not shooting any discs, then maybe it could happen, I guess.
Well, okay, so ending the match early, like this is something like in the finals, if the score to beat is like a 40 and you just got your 50, you don't have to keep going. I don't know why you wouldn't, but you can just be like, okay, we got our score that we needed to win. And
well, so this actually happened to us at a competition in Next Level, where it went to a tiebreaker, and in the tiebreaker match, the other team went first, and they got I forget what the score was, but my kids, like, I'm sitting in the stand, so I had no idea what they're doing. So they start doing this just super bizarre strategy that they've never done before. I'm like, what are you doing? Turns out they were scoring just enough to win, and then they put their controllers down. They're like, that's good enough. Which in most sports is considered sportsmanlike. You know, you're not running up the score exactly, but at the time, seeding was done based on your average over the course of the year and your finals average and everything. So it actually hurt them a little bit at the end of the year. But that's the only time that that's really come up. I could see it happening if, like, you have a competition full of robots that all they do is get all the discs out and they don't have a way to push them in. So if you have a bunch of 45s, yeah, that could happen.
Yep.
All of the rest of this is standard tournament stuff. T19, I feel compelled to call this out. Match replays are allowed but rare. They're not talking about instant replay here. They're not talking about looking at video or photos. This is literally replaying the match.
It talked about that earlier. You're not allowed to use video replay for any sort of clarification or anything. So,
yep. So I've definitely had people ask about this. They're like, but they said that replays are allowed. Like, not that kind of replay. Different kind of replay. Yeah.
They have, this is the first time they've done this, right? The field overviews and different specifications of different things and dimensions. And
yep.
I think that's nice to look at, definitely when it comes to designing your robots and the different things that you want your mechanisms to do and the sizes of whatnot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some of it could be really handy for giving kids ahead of time to, like, hey, start planning out what your programming path is going to be. You know, how far would you drive if you're driving 3 squares?
Yeah, these are great diagrams and things to put in your engineering notebooks, and having the dimensions right there for you is nice to have.
Yep. Skills is pretty standard. Tiebreakers are the same as they have been the last couple of years. They tie break at the next highest programming, and then they go to driving, and then they keep repeating that next highest programming, next highest driving. That doesn't happen very often. I don't think it's going to happen this year either. I mean, it could happen like 1 or 2 tiebreakers, but
yeah.
Skills are ranked globally. Most everybody knows this. You get 3 and 3, so just like previous years. Handling is the same. If you have any disc controlled by the robot, they have to be removed from the field. Controlled means the robot was manipulating it, not simply touching it. If you pick up your robot and the disc doesn't come with it, you weren't controlling it, so leave it alone.
That came into play big time with Squared Away. That was the big loophole or controversy that.
Yep. I mean, it's one of those things where it was a loophole, but it was a intentional loophole to make programming a little simpler. Just like with Rise Above, they had 2 completely different field layouts to make programming simpler. No such luck this year. Good luck.
Yeah, this is where, having a basket collecting these right out of the dispensers would be nice, because
yes.
Otherwise, you're literally leaving it up to luck where these things roll, and hope that you have a vacuum sort of intake or whatever, and hope you just suck up everything in your path. But.
Yep. I mean, you can utilize a vision sensor if you're so inclined to program that. It's finicky a little bit, and you have to, adjust for the lighting situation of whatever competition you're at. But it's possible. You could do it. Some advanced and really motivated kids could definitely get that to work. Yep.
Skills, next page there talks about, robot skills challenge at a regular qualifying event, and then they are also doing skills only events in person as well, which are nice opportunities for you if you want kind of a quick day instead of going to a full-blown tournament, and kind of help raise your rankings, or last ditch effort to make it to state or worlds or whatever.
Yep. Do your skills. Don't think that just because you can't win, it's not good for for your team to do the skills. It's one of the primary ways that a lot of teams make it to their state or regional competition. Some teams make it to worlds based on skills. So do your skills, get as high as you can, take advantage.
A lot of teams from Indiana make it to worlds based on their skills ranking. And so,
Yep, absolutely. And I did go to the EP lunch, and one of the things that they did say is there is not an intention to have a live teamwork for this game.
okay.
If there is a need for it, they may reinstate it, but they were discussing that their intention is to change the technology used for the live remote teamwork into live remote skills, so that schools have the opportunity to host more live remote skills, and hopefully build up some funds so that they can host more in-person competitions, because that is one of the issues that a lot of schools are starting to charge for, custodian,
Yes.
facility usage, etc. So it makes it really hard on some programs to really get going on hosting. So hopefully we'll find some good ways to help out with that.
Cool.
Well, that's the game, man.
That's it.
That's
I think
the
we
year.
only talked for 5 minutes. That was short. How long was it? That had to have been like 2 hours.
Oh, at least. Honestly, if you made it through this whole thing, like, props to you.
We have a surprise for you, actually. We don't. No.
I mean, maybe.
You don't.
I could come up with something.
No, that was fun, man. I always have a good time going through the game manual with you, and I learned some things, and I hope you learned some things, and I hope
absolutely.
Things. This is definitely something that you want to do. Again, we didn't say this early on, but we want to make it clear that this is kind of like what we do with our students the first couple of practices of the season. We have to nail down these rules. They are the ones that get to respectfully dispute them at a competition, not us. And so it's extremely important for them to know these rules inside and out. And they generally do. They tend to take ownership of this rule book themselves and become masters of it. So it's important that you go through it, just kind of like what we just did there. It takes time, and it's definitely not exciting for the kids. It's definitely something, they want to get right into building or designing or driving or whatever. But this is important, and you can't really figure out how you're going to design or build or whatever if you don't know what the rules are. So
yep. And I've said it in other videos that I've done before, but I'll say it here again, is that it's not engineering if you're not going in with a plan. And in order to have a plan, you need to know what it is that you're tackling and what you're facing. So they have to know the game. And that's more than just knowing that, hey, we got to put these discs over there. Like, to know the ins and outs, know exactly what they have to be able to do, what they're not allowed to do, what's possible, what's permissible, what's available to them during the game. Make sure they understand that, because that's where this starts. Those are the constraints that they're building against. Engineering is not just going and slapping a bunch of pieces together and seeing what works. We want to try and bring some intentionality to what we're designing, what we're building, and what we're getting put together here. So try and lead them through this process. As Jake said, it's not exciting the first couple of sessions. If you can get it done in a session, then great. If you've got a couple of really well-motivated kids, give it to them so that they can pour over it over the summer, if you're not starting until the fall. But you got to start somewhere, and you can't really design something if you don't know what it's supposed to do. So here's where you start.
You let your rules dictate your strategies, and you let your strategies dictate your design, and then you go from there. So
yep,
there you have it. That's all I have, Adam. That was fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to we'll get started. I've got kids that are chomping at the bit to get started, so it's
awesome.
They're going to be super excited for me to throw the game manual at them right away.
Yeah.
They've already got sketches and everything. So
plans for the future here. I know we had talked kind of about doing some more of these videos, podcast type things. I know last year I did a couple videos of game reveal, unboxing, and stuff like that. And we definitely plan on doing that with a couple of my students this summer, putting together the field, and getting their, their excitement and all that stuff. So that's kind of my plan this summer. Also plan, take a break and rest.
What's that?
Yeah, good point. We do have summer camp in July. For right now, dude, we have 143 kids signed up.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Gonna have to do some restructuring, but
all
that to say, robotics is awesome. Robotics is awesome.
Yeah. Good luck to all of you. It's gonna be a great season. Can't wait.